So you have questions about wholesaling houses or wholesaling real estate in general? Join me on the replay, the highlights of show number 117, where Adria and Renikia help me help you get those questions answered. Stand by. Let's get it.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.
And we are live for show number 117 for this week's Flipinar. I have both of the lovely ladies with us this week. And let me go live on Instagram. Okay, boom. So I'll turn it over to Adria. Don't forget to follow us on Instagram at AskFlipman and Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Turn on the notifications so you are alerted whenever I upload new videos and when we go live each week.
Hello, Miss Candia Perry. You're the first one on YouTube, so I'm gonna give you a shout out off the rip. But welcome to everyone. It is Thursday, October 24th, and as Ty mentioned, this is show number 117. This is the place where you get to ask your questions in regards to wholesaling real estate, little to no cash, and the beautiful Miss Renikia and or Ty will answer your questions. Hey, Renikia, how you doing?
Hello. How are you today?
I'm well. It's been a heck of a week for me, but it's bounce back time, so ain't no need of complaining. It's time to move forward, press through.
That's it.
How's the weather? It's cold today. Well, it was hot today. Cold tomorrow and
rainy.
Yeah, it's gonna be raining all weekend, I think. So I'm sure we're gonna get that cold front.
Yes, it's officially time for UGG boots and shirts, purple pullover.
Hoodies. Sweatpants.
I don't need nobody else hoodie or gray pants. I got my own. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah.
I'm just putting it out there. Let's put it out there. Okay, so I always like to take a moment to give a few shout outs. I've already said hello to Candia. So Jay Scar, Ross Hustle from Birmingham, Master J, glad to see you. Anthony McKee, Lewis Harris from Arkansas. We got Southern Kakalaki in here from Miss Deborah McGee. Ross is from Alabama. John Rondagoin, Sean Jackson. Thanks for all being here, Sean Maxwell. And if you have not, as Ty mentioned it, please make sure you go into Instagram where we have Marky Mark from DC, Brand Be Real. And he says he cannot wait for his deal. And I cannot wait for your first deal either. And J Ball Shots. Join that Facebook group, Wholesaling Real Estate with the Flip Man. There's like too many members there to count. And you can always ask questions there and partner up with fellow wholesalers. But without further ado, this is what we're going to do. You post your questions. I'm going to read them and let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so Guy Mark. Oh, well, you just said hello. You're live and new to wholesaling. Well, thank you. You're in the right place. Make sure you tune into those 370 plus videos that are available to you on YouTube. My phone is talking to me. I do not like Bixby. Okay, let's see here. Deborah McGee, I'm going to go ahead and take your statement / kind of maybe a question. Is anyone doing business in Illinois wholesaling since the crackdown? If you weren't here last week, Miss McGee, I would direct you back to that video, which is show 116, and also to the video that Ty, did you upload it?
Yeah, just do a search for wholesaling in Illinois and Flipman. Just do a search on YouTube and that video will appear. So that'll answer your questions.
Yeah, Ty took time out to interview with an attorney based out of Illinois, and a lot of the questions that you guys have in that area could and will be answered. Blueface Properties, I love your logo. I see it there. Is on Instagram.
Oh, Instagram. Okay.
Is on Instagram and wants to know, can I use a purchase and sell agreement on multifamily units?
Well, it's always going to be a purchase and sales agreement. Just need the language just needs to be more catered to multifamily units, but it's always a purchase and sales agreement, whether it's a a single family property or commercial property. That's just the title to broad brush all real estate contracts, or that's one of the titles. But it just needs to be term specific to what you're trying to do.
Yeah. I concur.
Ditto. Okay.
What was his name?
That was on Instagram.
Okay.
Yes, yes. Next question is going to be from Deborah McGee on YouTube. I have a seller who called me from my Google ad. He has a property in trust. Seems to be free and clear. The bank is the trust handler. Can I wholesale with the bank? And you said you did watch the episode with the attorney. Okay, so what about a property in trust where the bank is the trust handler? Can that property be wholesaled?
I would personally think you probably have to double close it, which you can be wholesale. You're going to have to probably double close it. Why would the bank have it in the trust? It's kind of weird.
That's interesting.
Yeah. Why would a bank have a property in a trust?
Yeah, it seems like it should be handled privately, and that puts so maybe a little more research on that.
Yeah.
Okay.
But technically, it just double close it, and you know they won't really see your hand, and it looks like a straight cash purchase if you do a double close.
Okay, so next question, we're going to go ahead and go with Twisted Legends, and this is on YouTube. Wants to know, should I be concerned with liens on property? So that doesn't make or break a deal, does it not?
It doesn't make or break the deal, but it will need to be paid off to convey title and to approve title to purchase that property. You always, well, no attorney is going to close a property that is clouded with liens and things of that nature. Liens have to be satisfied before the title can be truly insured. So yes, you do want to be concerned with the liens and things of that nature. However, you know, I wouldn't necessarily go out my way to try to figure all that out. You know, allow the attorney to provide that information, but hopefully, you know, those are some plenary questions that you can probably ask the seller, and you know, and see what type of information they will disclose about their liens, because personally, people know when you have liens. There's some liens like water bills and things of that nature that may show up on your as a lien on your property that you may not be aware of, but you still aware of that. You know if you paid your water bill or not. So at the end of the day, they could disclose some of it. But at the same time, it do come off of somebody had to pay it. Either the seller's going to pay it, or they're going to tell you, well, I'll sell you this property, but you're going to have to pay the liens on them too. So that part of who pays what is negotiable at that part. But 9 times out of 10, those liens, 10 times out of 10, those liens has to be satisfied before the title is truly insured.
Okay. Hello, Pamela, Jay, Miss Veronica, all on Facebook joining us. And Jay Miles wants to know, I've read that double closings are not illegal in Florida, but what is illegal is the use of the BC buyer funds to close on the A and B. Can you speak to this point? And he is a resident of South Florida. So basically saying double closings are okay, but the A to B, B to C contract is not. Is that so?
From my understanding, that's not accurate. And I hate when people say I heard. You know what I'm saying? You know, the internet is powerful, man. You can get actual from reputable individuals, and then you still have to double check that because you have to check the source. They may have never done a wholesale transaction, period, or whatever. So as far as I know, Illinois is the only state that's preventing assignments and or double closings. That's just from what I know. So to answer the question, don't listen to what you heard.
Right. All right. Wholesaling is not a new terminology. I mean, this is nothing new under the sun. People been doing this. It's just becoming more mainstream now. So, you know, whatever. But everyone been wholesaling properties and wholesaling things, so it's nothing illegal about it. You know, the assignment allows you to put the assignment fee right there on the HUD. Like Todd said, I mean, Illinois is probably the first state that I have heard that's really cracking down on things like that. But Florida, I mean, I know plenty of wholesalers.
I do too. Yeah.
To be honest with you, like,
yeah.
Florida is killing the wholesale market.
Yeah, that's the person I learned from was in Florida. So just get out there and do it, man. Stop worrying about all this stuff that, golly, boy. Oh, my God. Oh.
Yeah, we would not move because of what people are saying.
See, but just understand this, guys, that you're sitting down with title companies and or attorneys closing these deals.
Bar licenses.
Yeah, they're not going to put their situation in jeopardy because of you. Now, some won't do it, but they doing it they won't do it because out of ignorance, not because it's illegal. Those are two different things.
Right. Right.
All right. So Miss Alicia on YouTube. YouTube.
Who is it?
Don't remember.
Okay, that's fine. Go ahead.
Okay. So on YouTube, Miss Alicia wants to know, and I hope I am reading this right. Are we able to wholesale properties if you put by owner? So I'm assuming that you're talking about FSBOs. So are we able to wholesale properties that are for sale by owners?
That's the name of the game.
That's the ones that you really want.
That's what
Once you get it off MLS, there's, you know, agents and all types of people in the mix. You get it from another wholesaler. They have their fees in the mix. To be honest with you, the cheapest property is directly from the seller.
Yep, you're dealing directly with the decision maker. So you're cutting everybody else's bills and financial interest out. Now, you can do deals with the other people involved, but ideally, just to answer your question, you want to deal with for sale by owner, FSBO, FSBO. Those are the decision makers at the end of the day. Now, look, you may have a wholesaler or a realtor that may influence their decision and the pricing on the entire deal, but at the end of the day, you want to deal directly with the owner if you can. That ain't always going to be the situation, but that's who you always are shooting for.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So next question is going to be from Instagram, and I can go ahead and answer you this one, but it's someone wanting to know, does your wholesale contract work in Texas? And what he's referring to is the one-page contract that is available to each and every one of you on dealyalater.com. You can download it, or you can just simply use it on the screen, plug and chug the information. It's the same contract, one-page contract that Ty has been using since the beginning of his career. So answer the question. Work in Texas?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. That's what he said. He said, oh, yeah. It works everywhere, guys. The one-page contract, don't let it be a deal breaker if for whatever reason your buyer or dealing with possibly someone who has a realtor or an attorney in the mix and they choose not to want that contract to be used, but it does work. It works. I'm going to go with anywhere. Anywhere.
Yeah, if you want to get a better idea from that same interview that we did, I did with the attorney out of Illinois. We talked about contracts at the end of the video, and you can start it I looked at it the other day for someone. I pulled it up just to answer their question. Started at the 26-minute and 55-second mark of that particular video, and we go into that or whatever. So.
Okay. Janice Blackburn, and this is from YouTube, wants to know, I put this offer in on a fire damaged property and the agent's contract says owner would not assign. Is that normal?
You mean owner will not permit us an assignment? Agree to an assignment? A lot of times what you'll see in contracts is that owner has to approve the assignment. You don't want that. You really don't want any verbiage in there about assignments, period. And that gives you the okay to assign or whatever. But, and it's a deal breaker for me. If they have that verbiage in there, seller has to okay an assignment. Okay. Scratch that out, whatever. And, it's a deal breaker. I'm not taking that off the table. And the way you can explain it is that you would be a fool to take that option off the table. If you're trying to get a property for $100,000, someone just because they want their son to live next door to them, they may want it for $200,000. You know what I'm saying? Right. Just pay a ridiculous number. You don't want to take that off the table.
And also, I want to take it a step farther from that. How do they even know that you're signing it? Like, where did that come from? I mean, at the end of the day, you put your purchase and sales agreement out there, that terminology is just somewhere in the contract that say that I can sign it, but sometimes less is more. And if they know that you're trying to wholesale it or assign it somewhere, that means that there must have been more conversation that was had. Sometimes you say more than you need to say. So at the end of the day, they don't really have to know that you're about to wholesale this or assign this to someone else. If you use the one pager, that assignment clause is in the contract. So, so with that being said, most people won't even notice that the assignment clause is in there unless you point it out. But on top of that, if you can't afford to, you can still close it. Just do a double closing, because double closing is exactly what they're asking. Is you closing on that AB with them, and you immediately selling it to your BC at the same time. So if there's a healthy fee in there, a healthy assignment fee, where you could just do a transactional funding, do it that way. You can still save your deal, and technically you didn't assign anything if you do a double closing.
Okay, so let's get pretty. And this is from YouTube. Wants to know, now that we're talking about assignments, let's venture over to assignment fees. Do you put your assignment fee on the contract that the seller signs that you give to the buyer?
No, you don't want to put your assignment fee on anything. So there's two types of contracts, which Ty and I speak about. You have the assignment contract. So where you see purchase and sales agreement, at the top of that one-page contract, it say assignment contract. So that basically letting them know exactly what your assignment fee is. And to be honest with you all, the more you let someone know how much money you're making when you put up minimum amount of work, there will always be negotiation about your fee. Always. No one wants to pay you $10,000 or $15,000 to do nothing. So when you put your assignment fee out there, just know that you're putting it out there for negotiation.
All right.
And allow the seller to back out, allow the buyer to say, no, I want it for this price. I'll pay you $2,500, but I'm not going to pay you $15,000. So it allows them to kind of negotiate you down. And with the type of leverage you have, you really have no leverage. Where it's like, okay, I'd rather take 25 than not to I'd rather take what I can than not take anything. So I wouldn't necessarily broadcast my assignment fee.
Okay. Ty, if you would go ahead and pull up dealulater.com for the people in the back. Well, no, the Instagram, you probably won't be able to see this, so I invite you to come back and watch this video later. But for users on viewers on Facebook and YouTube, you can see it. This is from YouTube, and this is Candia Perry. And what she has is ultimately, is it a deal question? So she's in Atlanta, Decatur. She found this actually in Decatur, Illinois, but she's in Atlanta. It's a 2,738 square feet, 6-bed, 3-bath, 3-story Victorian, a lot of information here, Victorian built in 1895 and is listed for $15,000. Okay. She says that the comps are around 120. Others in the business said it's a good deal, but I think, Ty, maybe she's reached you before and you said probably not, and asked her to post it here. She wants to know why you do or don't feel that it would not be a good deal.
Well, she didn't give us any repairs on that, but even if you said just basically 2,800 square feet, right?
Right.
And it's hard for me to even say, is it livable or is it not livable? You know.
Okay, so Candia, you gotta quickly put more information in YouTube. So what are the repairs on the property? You said, and I'm sure, is that accurate, 15,000 and the comps are 120? That does seem like on the surface that it is a slam dunk deal, but it's something hidden in there.
Depending on what those repairs are. And how did you find this property? Answer that question also. You're talking in Renikia's neck of the woods. So Decatur, straight from the deck. For you ghetto mafia.
You said this was Decatur or Illinois?
She's in Decatur, but I think the property is in Decatur, Illinois.
Yeah.
I'm hoping. I'm sick of it.
Okay, yeah, we need to clear all of that up, man.
So how much she said she's picking up for 20?
Yeah, she said she could pick it up for 15, but not putting other information in it. We'll actually come back to it. I thought maybe you already had the number.
Yeah, properties like that will always need a whole lot of work. Well, you can pick them up for 15,000.
Yeah.
You don't need to tear that thing down and rebuild
it's
it.
Almost 3,000 square feet. Woo, you're talking
for $15,000.
Yeah.
We were just talking about that, and you told me no go.
Yeah, it just when you're in, which 120 is a decent, numbers for it, but you can get.
It's gonna take 100 to rebuild it.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. If it's it's built in 1895,
1895.
Yeah.
You ain't even got no electricity, dude.
That's almost a tear down.
Yeah, we may be wrong. It may already, it's been renovated recently, and it just needs some, you know what I'm saying, or whatever. But no,
if someone giving away 3,000 square foot that's already renovated for 15,000,
yeah,
sign me up.
There's a couple of neighborhoods in Birmingham where the houses are so big that even if you got them for 1,000, they don't make sense. They just rehab on a extent because they're 3,000, 4,000 square feet. It just the ARV is going to have to go up tremendously in those areas in order for you to justify doing a deal on those properties, because it can be livable and you just talking paint, flooring, bathrooms, a roof, and on a house that big, you'd be out of 50. You know what I'm saying? Just
right.
Because you're going to find issues in it. That's the thing on a house that big, especially if it's been built 70, 80 years ago or whatever. You're just going to find plenty of issues in most cases.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Those probably need a minimum of about 80,000.
Yeah, but we need more information based on what we're trying to say.
Okay. Next question rather is from Sam, and this is on YouTube. How important is equity in a deal? It's very important. That's the whole.
It's the most important piece.
And
the equity is not there. It's not a deal.
but we're not laughing at you, Sam. Just But anyway,
no, that was a good question.
Yeah, but that was a real good question. If you especially don't know, but equity is the money.
Equity is the money.
It's the money. That's the way you have to look at it. If there's equity there, and we're going to try to break this down. She'll give you her definition. I'm going to break it down the way I see it. Equity is the money. So let's try to simplify it as much as possible. All right. Mm-hmm. We'll just say a house in excellent condition. The way we have to look at it as wholesalers anyway, in excellent condition is worth $100,000. All right. But the seller owes $90,000. Mm-hmm. There's only $10,000 in equity there. That's the difference between the $100,000 of what the house will appraise for in excellent condition. Subtracting the $90,000 that they owe. They only have $10,000 in equity. Let's flip that. Assuming that same house, they only owe $20,000 in a mortgage or whatever. Mm-hmm. Now the equity is $80,000. That's the money. The only reason an investor, a cash buyer, end buyer, whatever you want to title it, will be interested in it because they have an opportunity to get some of that $80,000 equity. Now they may not get all of it. The seller may want 30, so they can get 10 of it. You can get it under contract for 30. You may want to get 15 of it. So now you're leaving 55 to a cash buyer, assuming what the repairs are, because that's going to eat into the equity also. We'll just say the repairs are 25,000. So now we're up to 70. That leaves $30,000 in equity, potential profit, gross profit that the actual cash buyer or an investor can make.
Exactly.
So equity is everything. That's your whole search on a daily basis. Is someone motivated enough to sell you a property where they're giving up a huge amount of equity? And that's what I'm referring to when I say it's not hard to give away money. When you find a great deal and you want to pass it on to a cash buyer, you're giving away money, equity. But it's hard to get someone to give you a ton of equity in a house. That's where the money is. Equity is just another way of saying money when you're talking about real estate or profit. Over to you, baby girl.
No. I could have said any better. Equity is the money. I like how you put that. Equity is the money. And we all know the saying, if it don't make money, it don't make sense. So if there's no equity, there's no money. So that deal doesn't make sense. I could have summed it up any better. Equity is the money.
Okay, without pulling up the calculator, just going off of what we know, Miss Candia Parrish, she did respond. I just didn't scroll up and see the other post she had, but she said she received, I guess she had a contractor or some come out, and she said, I received bids from 40, 80, and 100, but I know it's a total gut due to plaster instead of drywall.
3,000 square feet. The 100 is probably the right number.
Definitely. The 30 guy is going to have you in a situation.
Oh, yeah. No, he's just going to take our money. He's just going to get that for you.
He's going to take your money because he can't finish that deal. And you know what? I'm glad you did that. You went and got a minimum of 3 bids. And guess what? They still all over the place.
They're all over the place. Yeah.
So you really need to go get 2 more to even figure out where the bids really are. But I would say the 80 is probably going to be the best.
Okay. And this is from Pre-Med Dukabum. Pre-Med. We're just going to say Pre-Med on YouTube. Looking for validation in his thought process. Is it correct or not? When virtually wholesaling, one must find. Oh, that sounds so.
Pre-Med, how you spell that?
Huh?
I'm saying it.
One word.
Okay.
All together. Okay. One must find buyers in an area of the property being sold, right? If not, what is another option? And is PropStream all I need? So let's talk about virtual wholesaling. Normally when you two guys talk about virtual wholesaling, and ultimately what that is wholesaling in an area that you presently aren't in, you talk about having boots on the ground, having someone there. So the buyer doesn't necessarily have to be there, but you need someone that's repping you, that's basically funneling information back to you in regards to it. Now, what would you need to make that work? Other than the boots on the ground. The same team and everything you would need to do a wholesale deal locally, you would need that same team and those same resources in those areas too. So like you said, to really make that work, you just need someone that really knows that market. But also you need someone that knows that market that you can trust. You're not there. So, depending on who you're dealing with, they can go around you, they can get things done. So, it's really finding the teammates that you need, that you can trust, that you can build with in those areas. But it's the same play. It's no difference if you was wholesaling a deal locally. Same contracts is needed. It's just the fact that you're not there, so you have to rely on your teammates to really give you accurate information. Okay, so he said, I have boots on the ground already. How do I find a cash buyer in the area? But you just answered that the same way you would if you were in your back door. Craigslist,
bandit signs, yellow letters.
Yeah, all the
same exact thing.
You're just focusing in the area that you're not in. Mademoiselle Jolie. Put a little French twang on it. Oui.
How I go?
Mademoiselle Jolie.
Oui.
I like that. Oui.
That's right.
On YouTube says, "Hi guys, I live in Brooklyn, New York. All the properties are like 500,000 plus to millions dollars that are for sale by owners. Because of that, I have my eyes on Philadelphia. I'm intimidated by the millions. What do you suggest? I am a new wholesaler. All these high numbers on properties scare me." So I think you talked about this when y'all were talking about like Los Angeles, and you were talking about maybe even Texas. Well, we're just going to say Cali. We're going to make it bigger. Cali, Texas, and even New York. And even in some parts of Atlanta, that's just what's 500,000 there is what's, 150,000 here. It's just
exactly
market, right?
Right.
What people can afford.
Yeah.
So,
and as for some reason, numbers do intimidate us. For some reason, we can fathom $100,000 deal, but take time to fathom a $10 million deal, and it could be the same thing. The key is that take the numbers out of it. If you have an end buyer that's willing to pay 1.5 million, it's no different from an end buyer that's willing to pay 150,000.
No different.
It's really your confidence. It's your confidence because it's the same conversation. Of course, the higher, the more money people have, the more sophisticated they are. But when it comes to fix and flip, it's the same conversation.
I don't know about
and
that.
Then on top of that, I would say there's more spread in doing properties like that. You can make an easy $50,000, $60,000 versus here in other areas where the average property is about 250 or something like that, 100, 250. We're not making that big of a wholesale like that. But in those areas, your wholesale fee is 10 times larger. The key is that take the numbers out of it and just have confidence to do the business.
Yeah, you would do the exact same thing that anyone in a different market, the exact same thing. Their check may be $12,000. Yours may be $72,000. You saying you've done the exact same thing. So, and then you're familiar with the market. Sounds like you're from there, I'm assuming, or you've been there a long time. For being familiar with the market is such a huge plus, or whatever. And that's if you don't know anything about real estate. All right, you just have a good understanding of just the perception of different areas within your market, especially when you get out there and start mixing it up and networking with people that are actually in the business or whatever. And that won't start happening, obviously, until you get interested in it and start trying to apply some of this stuff. But at the end of the day, it's just numbers. You have to always mindset. I know it may be hard to create that, especially if you're not used to looking at these type of numbers and money and scared you're going to get sued and all this stuff. But you got to have the mindset that I have $10 million in the bank. I don't care if they do it, if they don't. I'll go to the next person. Keep that attitude. You're better negotiate with the best of them. If you need to up that number to 100 million for your mindset, then do it. If 10 ain't enough.
They don't know. And another thing, I feel that New York is a gold mine. Because it's so much money in New York.
Oh my God.
It's impossible to not find an end buyer that wants a triplex or a quad. Because people really want to own those properties in Brooklyn and own those quads and those multifamilies and 12 units here, 5 units over there. And then it's so much money in the New York area. I would really focus on home.
That market's
that market
runs the world. You know what I'm saying?
That market is nice.
Yeah, and you don't have to use the 70% rule up there. Same thing in parts of California is that 80% will work up there. Because the prices escalate so much faster than anywhere else or whatever. So. Get in there, mix it up, man. Start generating some leads. That's at the end of the day. That's what it's all about. People still die in New York. They get divorced, job loss, income, medical bills, kids' tuition, relocation, life. life creates motivated sellers. Your job is to make sure you do a good job of letting them know you exist.
Exactly.
It's called marketing and advertising. Generate leads. Get your phone ringing.
Exactly. And also step outside of Brooklyn market to find your cash buyers, because there's a lot of real estate groups out there in real estate meetups and stuff that happens in downtown and Manhattan and all these areas. So get outside your comfort zone, because the people who may want to buy and own that maybe live in Manhattan, or they may live in a whole nother area. So focus in on building your cash buyers and all the wealth that's in New York.
All right. Miss Mademoiselle Jolie said merci, and she said
you got a gold mine in your backyard.
Bienvenue. Yeah. Adrian, no dummy. Okay, so our next one, I'm glad y'all talked about that, because we're going to go into the next question is going to be about finding cash buyers using Dealulator, aka PropStream.
Right.
Can we do that?
Yeah.
Yes.
We can do that.
Yes. It can be done. Look at your screen again for those on Facebook and on YouTube. And while you're doing that, I'm going to go ahead and ask a question, Renika, and maybe you can answer this one quickly. It is from Instagram. And if you have a tax lien certificate, and this particular gentleman has one in Alabama, is there any way to move that property quickly? So how do tax lien certificates works? Is there like a time period, a waiting period on that?
Waiting period. Every state has a waiting period unless you buy the tax deed, and you necessarily buy the deed, you don't buy the lien. But if you bought a tax lien, then there is always a waiting period, and every state is different. Here in Georgia is a year and 1 day. Some states is 3 years. So you have to call down to your county to figure out how long it takes for you to be able to foreclose on that property and do a quiet title and take full control.
Yeah, and that quiet title can be expensive.
It is minimum certain areas, but minimum $3,000 to $5,000.
Yeah, I was about to say that's
quiet title and foreclosure.
Okay. So you have Dealulator up on the screen, and we're talking about using Dealulator.com, which I encourage each and every one of you to go to that site. Even if you do not subscribe for the monthly subscription, just go on, take a look around and see if it's something. If you're serious about this, if you're really serious about this, if this is a tool that you want to add to your tool chest for wholesaling. So the question was, how do you use it in order to find cash buyers? So the question previously about finding cash buyers when you virtually wholesale, I hope you're still on with us, and this would probably help you as well.
All right. Now understand, it's pulling actual transactions that someone paid cash, the people that paid cash for. So, and then it's going to depend on what other criteria you put in there as far as the time frame that you're targeting, obviously the area and so on. All right. So, I don't know. Let me see who I want to target here. Let's do what is it called in Cincinnati? Hamilton. I think it's Hamilton County. Ohio. Yeah, okay, spelled that right. All right, let's do Hamilton County, Ohio. All right. So while it's pulling this, it's actually pulling the list. So it's going to be a fairly large list in a market like that. So that's over 693,000 properties you can see right here. All right. So what you do is you go to your filter, and if you go right here and put cash buyers and you want to do non-owner occupied, then the type of property, assuming we're talking about single family. So you go into property characteristics. All right. MLS status really doesn't matter, I don't think, in this situation. And foreclosure status, I don't think it matters. All right. Ownership, you can go with individual and or corporate. I think you should do both or whatever, because even if you get a corporate information, you can't get a phone number for it. You'll have a mailing address that you can send out mailers to them and I would probably send out stuff UPS or FedEx to make sure you get their attention and they get what you're trying to promote. It may cost you a few coins to do it that way, but it'll be worth it. We're not selling pencils here. You make money in chunks when you're talking about real estate. That most marketing will be justified on the buyer and seller side if done correctly. All right, then the years of ownership. So that's going to depend on what you're trying to do. So if you're saying you're looking for cash buyers that have owned for 1 year, at least 1 year, then you can enter that. But if you want the more recent stuff, you won't put anything there. Now you can actually specify an actual sales date. So if you want to go back, we'll just say the beginning of the year. All right. Okay, up until now, it's going to automatically default there. So it pulls up 783 cash transactions, cash buyers. Now, again, out of that 783, some of those are going to be multiple. So whenever you download this list, if you don't remove the duplicates, once you get it into your Excel format, then you can sort the list, which I can't show you, it'll take too long. You can sort the list and it'll show, if you sort the list based on the owner name, it'll show the number of properties that they've purchased in that time frame. So that's going to let you know right there who are the actual cash buyers there. Well, the repeat buyers, which are going to normally be investors. All right. So if I dug into this property right here, it says Urbeck Development Company. So they paid $148,000 for this particular property. And wait a minute, did I put that filter in there? Yeah, I did. Okay. All right. And so that particular property, they purchased it back on, when was it? Back September 10th of this year. So just last month or whatever. All right. So just using that one as an example. So it has their mailing address right here. So you would reach out, either you would always want to just Google this name along with the mailing address, and a phone number may just appear. They may put their number out there publicly, but if not, then you want to send them something to this business address. It has a suite number here, what appears to be a suite number. All right. I'm just looking at these individually. All right. Here's another one. This is another entity, Steinmetz Construction Incorporated. All right. Here's their mailing address. It was a cash sale of $155,000 in this particular area, and it occurred back on September 6th or whatever. So you can go through these individually if you wanted to, but it'd be easier just to build, download the list, export the list, and then you sort it by owner name, and then you can see how many of those since the beginning of the year have bought multiple properties cash. And those are going to be your initial target, right? Those there. Now you can still reach out to some of the ones that are showing that they just paid cash for it, probably because you never know or whatever, but that's how I would do it. And then it just depends on how you want to reach out to them by mail or by phone. So hopefully that makes sense.
Wow.
Okay. Glad. So a question that I have, and that was on the Facebook groups while you have Dealulator up, it was, how does Dealulator compare to using Zillow for streaming and searching?
For what? But for what particularly? Well, Zillow is going to be limited on the information it gives as far as ownership information. They don't provide that currently. That's a key. Like I was looking at these properties here, which Zillow will show comparable sales because it does that. If you know how to use it. It has MLS data on this particular property here. It has mortgage history, which is no recent mortgage history. You have your transaction history. But the main thing is right here, one of the biggest differences is that it shows who the owner is, who the current owner is of this particular property. It's non-owner occupied, which means they don't live there. Looks like this is a mobile home. And it has their mailing address. From that information, you should be able to contact them either by mail or by phone. It does so many other things that Zillow doesn't. But I'll just put it like this, pretty much does everything that Zillow does with more bells and whistles. But if you're just only using Zillow for just general information,
you cannot find non-occupied owners on Zillow either.
No, you can't do that. You can't break it down that way. Correct.
Can't break it down like that. So.
Okay. Good deal. Good deal. In regards to this question is going to be in regards to earnest money, budget like a boss on YouTube. Wants to know when it comes to earnest money, do you, the wholesaler, bring it up and or pay it? What else is coming from? Okay. So
I don't bring it up. I just send it over on the contract, and if it comes up, we talk about it. If not, most people just sign it.
Exactly.
Just send it over. I just use a DocuSign. Guys, I get so many text messages and messages on these videos. People say, well, how can I send a contract to someone that doesn't live where I live, or blah, blah. I'm amazed some of these people sound like they're in their 20s or whatever when I actually talk to them or whatever. I'm amazed, man. Email. Come on now. Everybody, my mama has email. Everybody has. It's gonna be
no one is printing out contracts and meeting people at their house.
No.
Email you this. With this $10 earnest money right there, and it's up to you to negotiate this.
Yeah, DocuSign is other services like it, but just go to YouTube and do a search for DocuSign. I'm sure it's gonna be hundreds of videos to show you how to use that. It's just a simple site. People see the contract, they can read it online. Click, click, it's signed on your end. Click, click, it's signed on their end. Boom. It's like magic.
It is. Yeah.
And someone mentioned Hello Sign as well. So
Hello Sign is good too.
Okay, so let's bouncing around. I love the way y'all tag on to you're right. Every seller doesn't have email, but
they don't. I said that.
Yeah.
I said most.
Yeah. Okay.
If they don't have
most anyone, they got to be like 7 years, 65 and older. Don't have email.
My mother is 78. And she had none. She probably wouldn't be able to do the DocuSign without probably calling me or one of my other brothers.
Right.
But she said, I got this. I'm supposed to sign this contract. We've been talking about this real estate. I said, y'all got to do money after I probably have read it or whatever. Just hit click, click, or whatever.
Right.
Tap it there, tap it there, and it's signed. Boom. Assuming that they don't have email or don't want to use it, then you use the older ways. If you have to put it in their hand, the mail still works. Also, they also have this other device called a fax machine. That's possible.
Which they do know about.
Come on, people. Come on now.
Exactly.
They still make those for real.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm just doing it every day. Okay, April Alexander has a piggyback off of the virtual wholesaler. She wants to know, can an NDA and a non-compete agreement stop your boots on the ground from going against you? So that's what you mentioned about having somebody that you trust.
April? Who?
It's April Alexander. So does that seem like extra steps?
My thing with the NDA and all that, if you ask a lot of people, you put those things in place. To be honest with you, if I put ABC Real Estate Group on your NDA, if I want to go around you, I'm just going to do XYZ Real Estate Group and go around you. So at the end of the day, if a person really wants to go around you, they will. Yeah. Stuff like that, you really can't necessarily control. We try to do business with the right people and hope that people are just good people, but you just want to protect yourself where if they do try to go around you, they still got the end right to you because you got the contract, something of that nature. So just try to protect yourself, but don't rely on, we can put an NDA in place. That works. By the time you take somebody to court, is at the end of the day, people go around that all the time because they know 9 times out of 10 you are not going to take them to court and spend $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 trying to sue somebody. So just know that this is a very dog-eat-dog world, and have your paperwork in place and have your contracts protected. So if they do try to go around you to the seller, it still comes back to you because you got the property on the contract.
Yeah, I'm so on the same side with you on that. And we talking about houses. Somebody bring up an NDA. I may not even respond back to the message.
I may not even do business.
You know what I'm saying? Come on, man.
Yeah.
You know, on a house.
Exactly.
You'll get that on
you're talking about a
commercial.
$2 million commercial deal.
Yeah, you getting that, and then I'm still like, my first
Yeah.
question when they start doing it, I already know they're probably not dealing with the owner. You know what
Exactly.
I'm saying?
You're not direct, probably.
That sounds like daisy chain stuff all day long.
All day.
That's like a red flag off the top. Because like
It
you
is.
said, if I'm going to be that scrupulous and I want to cut you out of the deal, that NDA is not going to stop me. Because you don't know who I know.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? If I have the resources to go around you, that document is not going to stop it. It's just not.
I call my partners and allow his business to call the seller. Technically, I can do it. You know, it's
if I'm gonna be that way, I get you trying to cover yourself, but man, that's overcomplicating things. Like the lawyer said on the interview the other day, he said lawyers' entire goal is to complicate things for us regular people, and then we pay them a lot of money to uncomplicate them.
wow. You said that.
Oh, that interview is
so
deep,
true.
man. It is so deep. You know,
That is so true.
he said the other thing I love that he said that I said now he put his number out there. Said, now these people gonna call you. He said questions are free. The answers are not.
You gonna pay him for his time.
Oh yeah, baby, what he said. Yeah, you can ask all the questions you want to, but the answer's not.
I like that.
You can do a t-shirt.
Especially in the world of let me pick your brain.
Oh yeah.
But I tell you what is free, the 370 plus videos that are available to each on YouTube.
I like that. What's free, Adrian?
Yeah, the 370 plus videos.
Exactly.
That explains this wholesaling game from the rooter to the tutor, all the way from beginning to end. Just giving you too much information here for you not to get out there and jumpstart. But Renikia, I have a question for you. And this is from K2 Shay. And it is, can you please explain a hard money loan? And then another subscriber wants to know, how do I go about getting transactional funding for doing a double close? I think you might have the answer to this, maybe a little bit.
I like that. Which is a really good question, which a lot of people don't really understand the difference from going to your local bank, getting a loan versus getting private money. Hard money is just private money. It's not regulated by the banks. It's, you know, a group of people.
Before you go any further, dude arguing, I got into an argument with a dude on a YouTube video. He said private money and hard money are different. I said hard money is a form of private money. That's
exactly. That's it. Yeah.
It's just a different term. Just like wholesaling is a form of flipping and a form of investing.
Flip man, it's the flip man. You want some money in your hand? Flipping houses without credit or your cash. Get that bag.